Hello, my people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Compliment of the season, my good people. Yes, so we have come again to let you know that what Bianca Ojukwu is doing, the land of Biafra is against it, and therefore is bringing disgrace upon disgrace on her. And aside that, she's not meeting up. By the time she plots a graph, we must have excelled in 3. You understand me? That means she comes late. So our Prime Minister is ahead of her games. Who knows if her hand is in the arrest or this interrogation of our Prime Minister Simon Ekpa in Finland. But my joy is that we are dealing with Finland, not UK. These things would have turned upside down if we happen to be UK. But the joy in my heart and the hope in my heart is because Finland is involved. This is a serene environment, land that have justice and land that have known what it takes to fight for freedom. So whatever lies that Nigeria is giving using Bianca Ojukwu and the rest of those that are going there secretly, Finland will understand the game. Knowing that these people are subjugating the Biafran people, they are suppressing the Biafran people, they are using their military to kill the Biafran people and all whatnot, okay? So I want you to hear and help us to share. This is a big disgrace on Bianca Ojukwu. Let's hear it.
Bianca Ojukwu in tears as she was disgraced the moment she begged Simon Ekpa after betraying him. Bianca Ojukwu traveled all the way to Finland to see Simon Ekpa, but she was disgraced by Biafrans in Finland. Biafrans has finally gotten the truth about Simon Ekpa arrest in Finland, and all finger points at Bianca Ojukwu, the widow-wife of late Biafran warlord General Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. Her name has remained in the mouth of Biafrans as the plotter of Simon Ekpa arrest, so as to stop Biafra independent declaration. Bianca Ojukwu, widow of late Odumegwu Ojukwu, is accused of betraying the Biafran cause. Critics claim she played a role in the arrest of Simon Ekpa, a prominent Biafra agitator in Finland. Bianca Ojukwu's appointment as a minister in Bola Tinubu's government is seen by some Biafran supporters as a move to undermine their movement. This appointment is alleged to have led to the arrest of Simon Ekpa within 2 weeks. Simon Ekpa is a vocal supporter of Biafra, defending its people against alleged Nigerian military oppression. His actions have led to multiple petitions against him by the Nigerian government to Finnish authorities. Despite Nigerian government efforts to label Simon Ekpa as a terrorist, Finnish authorities have found no substantial evidence against him and continue their investigation. Allegations are made against the Nigerian government for using divide-and-rule strategies to weaken Biafran unity, including exploiting internal divisions and employing figures like Bianca Ojukwu to disrupt the movement. Many Biafrans view Nigerian political leaders as complicit in the marginalization and oppression of their people, prompting calls for sovereignty. Biafrans' determination to achieve independence also highlights their frustration with ongoing disunity and betrayal within their ranks. Biafra was redeclared on December 29, 2024, though this action faces criticism and controversy within the movement. Biafran supporters demand global acknowledgement of the genocide committed against them during the Nigerian Civil War and advocate for justice. There are calls for Biafrans to rise above internal conflicts, resist external manipulation, and focus on their collective goal of independence. You know, it's funny how things turn out sometimes. Just a few weeks ago, many of us were talking about the rumors swirling around Bianca Ojukwu, the widow of the late General Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, and her alleged involvement in the arrest of Simon Ekpa, a prominent figure in the Biafran independence movement. It was all just speculation at first, with people on the internet debating and throwing around accusations. At that time, I really thought it was just one of those wild conspiracy theories that you hear about, the kind that always seem too outlandish to be true. But as time went on, events started unfolding in a way that made it seem like those rumors weren't so far-fetched after all. For those who don't know, Simon Ekpa is a strong voice for Biafra, an area in southeastern Nigeria. He's been very vocal about seeking independence for the region, and he's been critical of the Nigerian government's treatment of the people from that part of the country. His views have gained him both supporters and enemies, the latter mainly coming from the Nigerian government and anyone who sees his movement as a threat to Nigeria's unity. Now, what really started making people suspicious about Bianca Ojukwu's involvement was the timing. Simon Ekpa had been on the radar of the Nigerian government for a long time. Now that move caught everyone's attention. You see, the late General Ojukwu had been the leader of the Biafran secession during the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War, which happened in the late 1960s. His efforts to form an independent Biafran state had ended in failure, and he passed away in 2011. Bianca, his wife, was seen as a figure of great respect by the Biafran people, and for many, her position in the government was seen as a kind of betrayal. After all, here was the widow of the man who had fought for Biafran independence, and now she was sitting in the government of the very country that had opposed that independence. When Bianca was appointed as a minister, a lot of people thought that she would take a stand for Biafran independence, that she would somehow push for the cause that her late husband had given his life to. But the reality was very different. Instead of becoming a champion for the Biafran cause, she seemed to have accepted her position in the Nigerian government, which caused a stir among Biafran supporters. Many were heartbroken, wondering how she could work within a government that was seen as oppressive to the people of Biafra. Soon after Bianca's appointment, Simon Ekpa was arrested in Finland, a country that had long been a safe haven for him. He had been a thorn in the side of the Nigerian government for years, constantly pushing for the recognition of Biafran independence and speaking out against the oppression faced by his people. His arrest came just 2 weeks after Bianca's appointment, and it was this timing that led many to believe that she was somehow involved in his downfall. People started to say that Bianca had played a key role in his arrest, perhaps even masterminding it, to put an end to the Biafran independence movement once and for all. At first, these were just rumors. There were many who dismissed the idea as nonsense, saying that Bianca had no involvement in the arrest of Simon Ekpa. But as the weeks passed, the whispers grew louder, and more people began to believe that there might be some truth to the accusations. What really sealed it for a lot of people was when Bianca herself traveled to Finland to speak with Simon Ekpa directly. Many expected her to stand firm in her position as a representative of the Biafran people, but what they saw was something entirely different. When Bianca arrived in Finland, she was met with anger and distrust by the Biafran community there. They saw her as a traitor, someone who had abandoned their cause for personal gain. It was a scene that none of us could have predicted. Bianca, the widow of the man who had fought so hard for Biafran independence, was now pleading with Simon Ekpa, asking for forgiveness. In the video footage that was shared online, you could see the distress on her face as she tried to explain herself. She was clearly in tears, begging the Biafran people to understand that she had been misunderstood, that her actions weren't as they appeared. But the crowd wasn't having any of it. They were furious. The Biafran community in Finland had been waiting for this moment, and when it came, they didn't hold back. They accused Bianca of betraying the very cause that her husband had fought and died for. They called her out for accepting a ministerial position in a government that had long been seen as an enemy to the Biafran people. For them, it wasn't just about politics. It was about the memory of General Ojukwu, and how his widow had chosen to honor that memory by aligning herself with those who had fought against the Biafran cause. As Bianca stood there, surrounded by a sea of angry Biafran supporters, you could feel the weight of history bearing down on her. The ghost of her late husband seemed to hang over the scene, as if his legacy was now being questioned in the harshest of ways. The tears streaming down Bianca's face spoke volumes, but it was clear that the Biafran people had already made up their minds. They saw her as a traitor, and no amount of pleading or apologies would change that. The arrest of Simon Ekpa was seen as a major blow to the Biafran independence movement, but the events surrounding it also revealed deep divisions within the Biafran community itself. While some people were quick to point fingers at Bianca, others believed that her actions were a result of pressure from the Nigerian government and that she was simply trying to protect herself and her family in the face of overwhelming political forces. Still, the damage had been done. Bianca had become the face of betrayal for many Biafran supporters, and her reputation among them was irreparably tarnished. The entire situation raised some uncomfortable questions about the future of the Biafran cause. Could Biafran independence still be achieved in the face of such internal divisions? Was there any hope for unity when figures like Bianca, who were once seen as symbols of Biafran pride, were now being cast aside as enemies of the movement? The truth was, no one seemed to have the answers, and it felt like the Biafran dream was slipping further and further away with each passing day. Yet, even in the face of such betrayal and division, there remained a core group of Biafran supporters who were determined to continue the fight. They believed that the struggle for Biafran independence was bigger than any one individual, and that the cause would live on no matter what happened to people like Bianca Ojukwu. For them, the spirit of General Ojukwu and the sacrifices of all those who had fought in the Biafran War were far too important to be forgotten. They were not willing to let the political maneuverings of the Nigerian government and its allies tear apart the vision of a free and independent Biafra. In the aftermath of Simon Ekpa's arrest and Bianca Ojukwu's disgrace, the Biafran people were left to pick up the pieces of their fractured movement. Some called for unity, urging all Biafrans to rise above the divisions that had emerged and focus on the larger goal of independence. Others were more cynical, believing that the whole movement had been infiltrated and corrupted by outside forces, including the Nigerian government, which had long used divide-and-rule tactics to weaken the Biafran cause. The struggle for Biafran independence is far from over, but the events of the past few weeks have shown just how complicated and volatile that struggle can be. What started as a movement for self-determination has become a battleground for power, loyalty, and the fight for political survival. As the Biafran people continue to grapple with their internal conflicts, one thing is clear. The road to independence will be long, and it will be marked by betrayal, hardship, and struggle. But for those who still believe in the cause, the fight is worth it. They know that the dream of a free Biafra will not die easily, and they will continue to fight for it, no matter the cost.
We are not going to retreat, not one iota, not 1 inch, because Biafra must come, because the hatred have continued to this very day.
Thank you everyone for your time on this very good channel. Thank you for listening to us. You can see that the spirit of Biafra is always very strong. Whenever you move against Biafra, you will see a counter move against you. It has been like that all the while. Ask the saboteurs, they will tell you better. Yes, it's a strong force. It's a spirit that wants liberty for the Biafran people. Yes, liberty is how God created us. He created us in liberty. So whatsoever that wants to subjugate us or that wants to keep us, in cage, will have Chukwukeke Abiyama to contend with. Okay? So, dear friends, that's it for today. Please help us to share in Disgrace of Bianca Ojukwu and her cohorts. Thank you and God bless you all.